Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
A scintillating 8 innings of pitching in Miami and a big swing from a youngster, Jesse Winker. And you add it all up, and the Reds have put together 2 victories. Billy Hamilton's had a big swing. Jesse Winker hit his first Major League homer. And the Reds, for the first time since the All-Star break, have a back-to-back win scenario. They take on the Buccos next on Fox Sports Ohio. Welcome to PNC Park in Pittsburgh, where the Reds take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Felch, I'm George Grant. Jim Day will be joining us momentarily. And when you look at the scoreboard at the end of a game and you got more runs than the other team, that's a good sign, Chris. Back-to-back wins.
Well, it is, George. You know, the baseball season can be a long, twisting trip throughout the entire summer, you know, but there are certain points at which you stop off, and maybe there are some changing points. And maybe this is one of those turning points for the Reds. You put back-to-back wins together, you get a great outing out of young Luis Castillo, you get a very strong outing last night of the guy that should anchor your rotation in Homer Bailey. You get enough runs to put on the board to give them a little smiling, and hey, this ball club all of a sudden looks like they've got a little bounce in their step.
Bounce in his step certainly helps when the offense and the pitching coincide with each other. But, you know, we say it night after night, game after game, and everybody in the league says the same thing. When Billy Hamilton gets going, the Reds get going, and that was true last night.
Well, that's the idea. Obviously, when you have somebody with the dynamic speed that you have at Billy Hamilton, you put him at the top of the order. The idea is that you get him on base. Well, he did that with a triple and a home run. We were all betting on whether he's going to make the cycle or not last night. He didn't do that, but he's exciting. He's tremendous on defense. And as long as he stays healthy and is able to answer the bell day in and day out, he's going to give this team a chance to be exciting at the top of the order.
Not only was he good last night, he's been good in his career against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And look at the stolen base totals for Billy for his career against Pittsburgh, most against any team on these numbers. Billy's got the happy feet working, the happy arms. They're coming up next. Robert Stevenson gets the ball. Jim Day talks about another happy youngster from last night, Jesse Winker, when we return.
check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Yesterday, Jesse Winker was recalled from AAA. Didn't even get to take batting practice. Barely got here for the game. And then in the 4th inning, well, became a night he'll never forget. It's RIGS bringing the energy, and he brought it with his first big league home run. And you know how guys treat rookies, the silent treatment in the dugout. But Winker says, hey, I got you right back. He'll do some air fives, some low fives, the jump up as well. Watch Scooter Gennett. That is really cold right there. But Winker enjoyed it. I talked to him about the silent treatment.
Yeah, I went through some handshakes. After a while, you're like, wow, I'm just high-fiving air the whole time. So it was funny. It was cool to be a part of. So, you know, hopefully one day I could do it to somebody that's a rookie as well.
And he's going to get an opportunity to start on a regular basis for the foreseeable future. He's back in there tonight. Reds go after their 2nd straight victory over the Pirates as we go upstairs to the guys we'll call it, George Grant and Chris Welsh.
Thanks, JD. Smiling scoreboard for the Reds, smiling clubhouse for them last night, and they hit the ground running for tonight. Let's check the starting lineup sponsored by Menards for Brian Price and the Reds, who come in 43 and 63, 14.5 games back in the Central. Billy Hamilton back in the top of the order spot at 254 with the triple and the homer last night. Jesse Winker with his first career homer last evening, bat 2nd. Joey Votto has been hot since the All-Star break, average over 300 again. Adam Duvall, Scooter Gennett, Eugenio Suarez, Peraza, Barnhart, Stevenson. That's 1 through 9, your Menards starting lineup. And the Reds, of course, will go with Robert Stevenson on the mound, good young right-hander. And for the Pirates, another good young pitcher, Trevor Williams, gets the ball, Chris.
Well, he's 25 years old. Williams came over from the Marlins in a very unusual deal. We'll get into that later on in the ball game, but basically he was traded for a coach, and he gets the start. And ever since he's been able to get the starting ball, he's been pitching pretty well. He keeps the ball down in the zone. He's not really tricky. He throws fastball sliders to right-handers, fastball changeups to left-handers, and gets a lot of ground balls.
Trevor Williams ready to go to work. San Diego native, went to high school, San Bernardino, San Bernardo High School, and then went to Arizona State. And he carries a lot of the high hopes for the Pirates as they structure their rotation with a lot of good young pitching. Here's Billy. Fouls that off, and he's in an 0-2 hole. Hamilton got the Reds started early last night. He tripled on a 3-2 pitch first time up, and then he hit his 3rd homer of the year, his 2nd 3-run shot, each of them off Jameson Taillon. This one bounced back right to the pitcher. Williams has it. Billy's retired. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for the Buccos, the Pirates. Defensively, they finally got the guy they wanted in left field. Starling Marte, 80-game suspension for PED usage, back in the lineup. McCutchen was moved from left back to center once Marte went on the suspended list, and he's been there the rest of the year. He's had a bounce back year, and guess who's back? Gregory Polanco off the disabled list after his hamstring difficulties. Freeze, Mercer, Frazier, Bell across the infield, and Stewart gets the start behind the plate for Trevor Williams. Stewart, good catch and throw guy, always around 30-35% throwing out base runners. So Cervelli gets the night off, and Stewart's behind the plate. Here's Jesse at 250 with that homer, his first career home run. And Chris, you go through that bounce back up and down from the minors to the majors. It's nice to pick up a first every time you come, and last night was home run number 1.
Well, I think the first thing that he'd like to know is he's going to be in the lineup on a daily basis. That's the first that you really want to see. And I think it takes a lot of pressure off a young player when he knows he can go 0 for 4 and expect to be in the ball game the next day. And I think the other thing that will help Winker, especially from the very beginning, is the fact that he's going to be hitting in front of Joey Votto. So anytime you got Votto behind you, you expect to see better pitches to hit, more fastballs, and that'll play right into helping Jesse Winker get acquainted.
You know, and the smart managers over the years, Chris, you've been in the game a long time, and usually when you bring young people up, you want to put them in a comfort zone. And over the years, here's Joey in at 304, 27 homers, 72 knocked in. You put a young kid ahead of a potential future Hall of Famer, that's a good comfort zone for them. I mean, how many people, I remember
sitting with Jose Cruz Jr. when he came up in Seattle, and they put him right away in front of Ken Griffey Jr. He said, could I ask for more than that to start? That's wide to Joey. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He probably went out and scored 200 runs that year.
Setting up inside is Stewart. Nub toward short. Mercer has it, and 3 ground ball outs from Trevor Williams. That's the way he pitches. We'll see the way Robert Stevenson pitches when we return. Pittsburgh, some thunderstorms in and around the area. You see to the left field side of the ballpark there some pretty serious clouds, but we should be able to play baseball all night long tonight in Pittsburgh. Let's check the Menard starting lineup for Ben Hurdle and the Buccos. Pittsburgh comes in 51-55. They lost a game in the Central Division. Now 6.5 back. Start to play tonight. Starling Marte back in the lineup in the leadoff spot. They've had during the course of this year 6 different leadoff hitters. Frazier, McCutchen, Bell, Freese, Polanco, Mercer, Stewart, and Trevor Williams, the pitcher, bats in the 9th spot. And here is Robert Stevenson.
Well, I imagine Robert Stevenson, after his last outing where he walked 7 batters, has got one thing on his mind tonight, which is getting the ball over the plate early in the count.
That's over the plate, but it's drilled to center field deep. Back is Billy. It'll hang up, and he'll haul it in. That hit a mile in the air by Marte, but it stays in the park, and there's one away.
You know, that's the kind of pitch that can actually give a pitcher a little bit of confidence, because you know, when you're going bad, you normally think, boy, every mistake I throw, they hit the ball hard. It's a double or a home run. When you know, that was the first pitch, get ahead fastball right down the middle. Marte put a good swing on it, hit it very well, but missed it by 1/8 of an inch, and it was a fly out to center field. Take 26 more of those.
So one away, and here's the number 2 hitter, Adam Frazier. Frazier 9 for 14 in this streak that he's been in the middle of, and 447 since the All-Star break. So he comes in at 282 overall. Last night, Frazier had a double and 2 singles, one of the few bright spots offensively for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They'll play him pretty much straight away with Suarez, the third baseman, even with the grass. That's a rip to right, going over his Winker, reaching up, and he got it. He got it. How about Jesse Winker? Have a series, a great defensive play last night, his first major league homer, and he tracks this one down on the warning track, Chris. Can't do any better than that on this line drive.
Well, he had a nice play last night. Before he hit the home run, he showed you some defensive work, and tonight he takes an extra base hit away. Well, that's as good a play as you're going to see a right fielder make.
A dandy from Jesse Winker in right, and there's 2 away.
Really interesting, you know, because Schebler has gotten to the point where he plays a very good defensive right field as well. So you've got 2 very capable outfielders here that can potentially play right field.
And the Reds, of course, defensively have been solid all year long, really for the last couple of years. They lead the National League in assists. At the top of the list is Billy Hamilton in center with 9, Duvall with 8, Schebler with 5. Kiblehan's had a couple from the outfield. There's a liner the other way. Over is Duvall. He won't get this one. So McCutchen continues his climb towards 300. McCutchen had a big hit last night, and tonight, his first time up, he bangs a single to left. Check your Ford defensive alignment for the Reds coming in. Cincinnati, 3rd in the league defensively with 53 errors on the season. Pirates come in on the season 10th in the league defensively. Duvall, Hamilton, Winker in the outfield. Peraza still at short for Cozart is on the DL. Jeanette at second. Votto over at first, and Barnhart behind the plate. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Throw McCutchen on, and here's Josh Bell, the switch hitting first baseman. He's been one of the top rookie offensive performers this year. You see Camara Barti, the first base coach, Joey Coro in the third base box for the Pirates. 19 homers, 57 knocked in, and an on-base percentage of over 300. Stevenson to the stretch. And when you look at it, add it up as a rookie, he's #1 in hits. He's got 90 hits on the season. #2 in home runs and on-base percentage. He's had a pretty productive offensive year, huh?
Well, they've been very high on him, and I don't think they're really surprised here in Pittsburgh that he's having that kind of a first year. He's been able to swing the bat really at every level of professional baseball coming up.
No balls, 2 strikes. Short lead for McCutchen. The Reds will pitch out. McCutchen will still steal a base, no longer the everyday stolen base threat that he used to be. In the annals of Pirate baseball, he remains one of the best base stealers. 9th all time at 169 stolen bases. Not going. That bounds in front of the plate and will bound all the way back onto the field. A wild pitch, and they don't need a stolen base to get the runner in scoring position.
Sometimes, you know, when you throw your first couple of sliders of a ball game, you feel like you better not make a mistake, especially when you have 2 strikes on the hitter. You want to put them away, and you're going to throw you can conjure up, and chances are like that you bounce it 4 feet in front of home plate. We've all done it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball misses down and in. All these new ballparks now in Pittsburgh, maybe at the top of the list. It's a very short distance, less than 41 feet from home plate to the cement wall behind home plate. So very often balls will ricochet back right to the catcher. There's a bouncer, flagged down by Stevenson. That may have saved a run. Well, Jesse Winker sure saved a run. If he doesn't catch this, the Pirates probably have a lead. serious lawyers for serious injuries. Tonight's storylines: the Pirates over 500 against teams 500 or better. That's 5th best in Major League Baseball, but they've struggled. 1-7 against the Reds this year, and teams overall under 500, 24-31. Part of the story of this Pirates team that starts the game 51-55, 6.5 back. There's Adam Duvall. Duvall for the Reds last night had a single and a double in 5 plate appearances. He started the Reds rally in the 3rd with a leadoff double to left. Against Trevor Williams in his career, he's 2 for 3. Scooter Gennett behind him is 1 for 2 and a homer. You know about Garrett Cole, you know about Jameson Taillon, you know about Glasnow, the heavy build young Pirate pitchers. But Chris, this guy may be the best of the bunch, even though some other guys throw harder.
Well, you know, George, I don't know if he's going to be the best of the bunch or not. The other guys certainly have the potential to be really top of the rotation starters, Taillon and Glasnow, from basically a stuff standpoint. But Williams is the young man who seems to get it. And what he's trying to do is just keep the ball down. He throws a lot of fastballs. Almost 70% of his pitches are fastballs. And, you know, he messes around with a little bit of a slider, a little bit of a changeup. But if you live on the corners, you're going to be able to get some action done. And that's what he's able to do right there against Adam Duvall, who did not think it was a strike. We'll take another look. Oh, I don't know.
Adam will say the same thing. Oh, strikeout looking, strikeout number 1. Here's Scooter. Williams last year up for a cup of coffee, about 7 appearances for the Pirates up here. Started the year in Double-A, went to Triple-A, and not only was their pitcher of the year, he was their most valuable player. That's how well he pitched at Indianapolis last year.
But I think even when you have a guy like Williams, and if he's having some success up here right now, you're looking at stuff. He doesn't strike out a lot of batters. He doesn't do anything really flashy, so you automatically pigeonhole him as maybe a back of the rotation type starter. But everybody needs a number 4 or 5 starter. I mean, this is what's really all about, is how many runs you give up, how many strikeouts you get, or, you know, how many highlight reels that you're able to offer with your fastball blazing in at 100 miles an hour.
0-2 down and in. That's Bill Miller, the crew chief and the home plate umpire tonight. Todd Ticknor's at first. Nick Lenz, your second base umpire, and Will Little is your third base umpire. Tries to get him, go after it, won't bite on it. Down for a ball. Yes, Smithson will go full 3 balls and 2 strikes. Scooter was a man without a position when he was picked up by the Reds just before the season started, but he's earned the right to be the everyday second baseman. He supplanted Jose Peraza. Peraza back in the lineup when Cozart went on the DL at short. Right back to Williams. Makes a nice play. And there's 2 away.
Well, 4 of the first 5 outs that Williams has recorded have been ground ball varieties. Twice back to him, once to the second baseman, once to the shortstop.
He's working fast, throwing strikes, and so far 5 up, 5 down for the Reds. Here's Eugenio. Suarez at 258, hit his 17th homer of the year last night, now with 53 runs batted in.
You know, I think facing a guy like Williams could be good for Robert Stevenson. Sounds funny, but you know, you mentioned George that he's throwing strikes, he's working fast, and that kind of picks up the pace of the game, and you can get kind of sucked right into it as the opposing pitcher. That, you know, that the energy of the game is throwing strikes, coming right after the hitters. So far, so good for Stevenson in that respect, and obviously Williams has been doing the same thing. But when the other guy starts walking a lot of batters, and that was the case, I think, when he pitched against Miami. Chris O'Grady walked a couple of batters, and he was kind of control-wise out of the zone a lot, and the whole game seemed to get real ugly in a hurry. Fresh start, fresh night.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Suarez. Up high, 2-2.
Right now you can tell that Bill Miller behind the plate has a low strike zone. The sooner pitchers figure that out, the better.
That's a low one on the inside corner. 2 strikeouts looking in the inning. 2 strikeouts for Williams. Freeze up when we return. Better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Helped by his defense in the first. Stevenson back to go to work in the second. David Freese, Gregory Polanco, and Mercer due up 5, 6, and 7. Freese 0 for 2 last night and had a walk. He's hit safely in 10 of his last 11. This will be his 72nd start at third base. That matches his total of all of last year. Last year they originally had penciled him in to spend some time at third, some time at first, and of course with Jung Ho Gong not with the club this year from the get-go, they moved Bell to first, put Freese at third. Solid major leaguer. Of course, you remember his great years with St. Louis and his postseason heroics. That's up and in, and 4 straight wide ones. A walk, leadoff hitter on in the second.
You know, I'm all for pitching fast and taking very little time between pitches, but when you go 2-0 on a hitter, especially when you're leading the inning off, that's time to take a mental timeout. Go behind the mound, tie your shoes, play with the rods a little bit, kick some dirt off your cleats. You know, you kind of got to get out of the negative and into the positive, and or else that whole at bat will get away from you, and I think that's what happened there with Stevenson.
So leadoff walk, and here's Polanco back off the 10-day disabled list today. Been on the DL after pulling his left hamstring back on the 3rd week of July. They're happy to get these numbers back. 9 homers, 29 knocked in on the season. Pretty good month of July before he went down. It hit in 15 of the 16 games, and his average was over 350.
Well, without Polanco in there, they're not very much of a left-handed team. They don't give you a right-handed hitter as much trouble as they did if they could sprinkle one more lefty in or have a healthy Polanco in the lineup. They just feel like this young man, he's tied to a long-term deal here that will just get better and better every year. Now, his long-term deal, though, at this point, if he produces the numbers he has, will be very team-friendly going forward.
Short lead for Freese. This one popped to the left side, curving. It'll be out of play in the seats. Pirate franchise, just like the Reds, has to be baseball conscious but cost conscious too. Trying to sign a team that Clint Hurdle can keep sending to the postseason. Pirates have made it to the postseason, but their success there has been limited. Beat the Reds, of course, in one wild card game, but then been snuffed out. In the air to left, Duvall has it measured. Runner goes halfway and retreats to first.
That's a good pitch by Stevenson on a 2-0 count. Polanco went after a pitcher was probably out of the strike zone, down and away, had a swing where he kind of pulled off of it. So they go right back to the same area, which is down here, and Polanco pulls off this one again. Now, sometimes scouting reports will tell you that, but more often what a hitter does in the batter's box right now will tell you what you can get him out with.
Here's Mercer, 1 for 4, a double last night, overall at 263. 10 homers on the season, and now that's within 2 of his career high. And the dirt, good block by Barnhart. And it seems like every other batter you're saying the same thing, Chris. You know, we've had, you know, Ryan Hannigan was great at balls in the dirt. Jason LaRue was great at balls in the dirt. Barnhart is exceptional. He just has been amazing. And you know, you bring up a great point when you talk about framing pitches. It depends so much on your pitching staff and the umpire. You take the best catcher in all of baseball. Here's Stevenson's delivery. And you put him on the Red staff with guys throwing the ball in the dirt on every other pitch. Your numbers look a whole lot different. Tucker Barnhart's had a Gold Glove kind of year for the Reds this year.
Well, it's nice for catcher just to sit back there and kind of catch with a pair of tweezers.
Yeah.
You know, you have guys with that good of control, but you sure work a lot harder when you have a young pitching staff. You're blocking balls, you're moving up and down all the time, and that can wear you out a little bit, wear you down. I think he's answered the question, though, as to whether he can be an everyday catcher. I don't think they really ever envisioned Tucker Barnhart being a #1 catcher coming out of the minor leagues, even though he won the Gold Glove in the minor leagues as the best catcher in all of the minor leagues, not just one level or one league. They just didn't think he was big enough and strong enough.
1 ball, 1 strike, runner not going. That's in there for strike 1 and 2.
And that's a common misconception, even more so nowadays, as the athletes seem to be getting bigger and bigger. Well, those guys that come into play who aren't all that big, like Tucker Barnhart or Jose Altuve, can still play, and they can play very well.
And he's matured and blossomed at the right time for the Reds. This one, Blute backing out of play with the injuries that Devin Mesoraco's had to deal with. Barnhart's been the right guy at the right time for Cincinnati.
Yeah, but you know, Mesoraco would love to be in this series.
Boy.
I mean, he's from nearby Punxsutawney. You know, he's got a Pittsburgh guy about him, you know, just the kind of the way he is, a real blue-collar, hard-nosed player. He would love nothing more than being in this series, playing in front of family and friends.
All he wants to do is play, and the body hopefully will let him do more of that. Here's the 1-2.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he went around. Mercer's retired, and that's the first strikeout for Robert Stevenson, second out of the inning, and here comes Chris Stewart. Stevenson, 7 free passes last time he pitched. That was in Miami. We'll deal with Stewart, who's under 200 at 197. And the pitcher Williams on deck. And you wonder, will Barnhart ever win a Gold Glove? Who knows? But we go into coaches' rooms and managers' offices, Chris, and he's got the respect of those coaches and managers all around baseball. That's pretty sure.
No doubt about that.
We were talking about it down in Miami, in the era that Don Mattingly was a first baseman. There's so many great first basemen in the American League. If you didn't make the All-Star team or didn't make a Gold Glove team, that didn't mean you were great. You weren't great because there were too many good first basemen, and with the likes of Molina and Posey. It's a line drive, left center field. Duval over. He's got an eye on it, and he'll squeeze it. A walk, no harm. Pirates have stranded 2. Stevenson due up third.
An MRI performed yesterday on his shoulder, and it revealed rotator cuff bruising. Now, it's good news, bad news. The bad news, it's going to take weeks for it to heal. The good news, they don't think it will require surgery to repair it. They do expect him, if all goes well, to return at some point this season. So, gentlemen, for the foreseeable future, Jesse Winker going to get the chance of his MLB lifetime.
You're right, JD. You're in the clubhouse day in and day out, and you talk to a Devin Mesoranco or Scott Schebler. Now, this game is tough enough to play when you're healthy, and Schebler tried to work his way through it. And for Schebler, as a left-handed batter, that left shoulder, I mean, you don't have nothing to pull through. You're hitting with your front arm, and that's it. And you see the frustration on their eyes when you talk to them, huh?
No question about it. And, it's one of those situations as well where Schebler is, even though he had a terrific first half, still establishing himself as a Major League Baseball player. He looks at the stats. He knows Jesse Winker is one of the top prospects, knows he's hitting above 300 all year at AAA. And you never want to give up your position to injury, because if Jesse Winker performs, they'll find a place for him.
Peraza tries to drop a bunt down the third baseline. It goes foul. Jose Peraza, 5-game hitting streak, 258, 4 homers, 27 knocked in.
Well, in an ideal world, you'd have a situation at every position that the Reds have in right field, where you've got one guy pushing the other guy.
Loop down the right field line, sinking. It'll drop fair. Peraza, big turn at first, but it'll hold there. So make it a 6-game hitting streak for Jose Peraza. Some have been line drives, some have been bloops. They all count.
Well, it's a good pitch, pitcher's pitch. You know, he's got a couple of strikes on him, so he's got to protect the plate, and he's able to launch it down the right field line. And nice little defensive play right there by Polanco, making sure that ball didn't get by him.
And here's Tucker. Barnhart at 261, 3 homers and 21 knocked in. Tucker last night singled in the go-ahead run for the Reds in the second, giving them a 2-1 lead. 1 for 4 and a walk for the Reds catcher. Takes a peek at Billy Hatcher in the third base coach's box, rolling through some signs. Freddie Benavidez, as usual, down at first for the Reds in the coach's box. Short lead for Peraza. Peraza on the year now, 15 stolen bases, been caught 5 times. He and Billy Hamilton give the Reds a bona fide stolen base duo that is a threat at the bottom of the order and the top of the order. High leg kick. There goes the runner. Here's a fly ball to right. Polanco under it will have it, and returning to first will be Peraza. Talking to Clint Hurdle yesterday, he had hopes of getting Polanco back in the lineup today. Had to go through, just like Jack Cozart is doing, some outfield exercises and to see exactly how that leg would fare. He did yesterday, felt good today, so he was activated. And they're happy to have his arm and his bat back in the lineup. That's a bunt foul. Reds got 2 good bunts from Homer Bailey last night. 2 sacrifices that were right on the money. Stevenson on the year, looking for his first sacrifice of the season. Both sides charging, and it's fouled off again, 1-2.
Yeah, you know, for a guy that's having a hard time laying a bunt down, I think it would be wise to maybe get into a bunting position well ahead of time. You know, you're not faking anybody out. You're standing way up in the batter's box. Everybody in the ballpark knows you're going to bunt. Go ahead and square around right now. Get comfortable. Get that bat at the right angle. If you wait too long, sometimes you don't get it in the right spot at the right time.
Here's the 1-2, long hole by Williams. Shows bunt. He gets it down. Peraza with his speed. They'll make the play at first, and Peraza will go to second. So the first sacrifice of the season for Stevenson. He does it in a 2-strike count, and the Reds have a runner at second with 2 away. Hey, don't forget, join the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati for the 3rd annual Sand Volleyball Classic on August the 12th. Co-ed teams of 8 are welcome to come out and compete for a great cause. Register today at bgcgc.org. Runner at second. Here's Billy. Bounce back to the pitcher first time up. It's game 2 of the 3-game series here in Pittsburgh for the Reds. Change up way out in front for a strike. Tomorrow Sal Romano goes against Chad Kuhl. And the Reds will head home. Cardinals come to town, and then the Padres come to town. And if you missed Reds Live pregame with Brian Giesenslaw and Jeff Pecoro, Asher Wojciechowski will be the starting pitcher on Friday. He takes over for Tim Adelman in the starting rotation. They'll face former Red Mike Leake as the Cardinals come in on Friday. So Wojo get a shot, Chris, and he's deserved it. He's pitched well out of the bullpen.
Well, he has pitched well, and I think that the Reds right now are just looking for, you know, another arm here or there to help until Scott Feldman comes back and can take that ball every 5th day.
Missing wide, 2-1.
In all likelihood, the rotation is going to be in somewhat of a state of flux between now and the end of the year.
Rifled right center field. Here comes Polanco, and he got it. Great first step by Polanco. It hung up there long enough for the long leg right fielder to track it down. Red Strander runner was still scoreless. To Clasterman Baking, you get half-price Reds tickets, enjoy live mascot races, face painters, carnival games, and more. Plus, kids 14 and younger will get a Jose Peraza Fathead thanks to Graders. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Here's Williams, the pitcher, batting in the 9th spot, takes a strike from Robert Stevenson. Base hit by McCutchen, and a walk to freeze the 2 base runners so far for the Pirates. Swing and a miss for strike 2, 0-2. Cardinals play Milwaukee tonight. That game still to come. And the Cubs getting ready to get started against Arizona in the Central Division. Dribble past the pitcher. Scooter scoops, and they'll get the out. 1 away, back to Starling Marte. And don't forget, a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Last night's Miller Lite moment was a special one. First career homer for Jesse Winker. Marte flied to right first time up. Boy, he just missed it. Hit it a mile in the air, and Billy Hamilton was camped under it at the edge of the warning track, about 390 feet away in center field. And Chris, you can plan all you want all winter long. If you're Dick Williams, you plan to have Homer Bailey, Anthony DeSclafani, and Brandon Finnegan in your starting rotation. If you're Neil Huntington, you plan to have this guy in left field all year, and Jung Ho Gong as your third baseman. And both of them gone most of the year.
Well, I think Gong is the guy that they really missed early on, George, and they were just hoping that he was going to make it back. He's not going to make it back, obviously. Legal problems regarding a DUI that he had out of the country. So he can't get into the country, I think, right now until that is all figured out. But I think that's the case in all of baseball everywhere. I mean, you know, you have your A team, you have your A plan, and then you've got to have plan B. And if you're the Reds and you're, you know, with your pitching plans, I think they've already gone down to C, D, and E with all the different faces that they've had up here to give looks to. The Pirates are still trying to win. They still think that they've got a run in them that can propel them back up into the standings a little bit. And I think as long as the team feels that way, I mean, you know, you got to go with it. Manager feels like that. I mean, they're trying to build something here in Pittsburgh the same way the Reds are, but they're just not, you know, they're not taking a year off, so to say.
No balls, 2 strikes to Marte. That's way high.
Yeah, with the Reds, really, right now it's the Reds that have stood between the Pirates and the Pirates being better in the standings. The Reds have won 7 of the 8 games that they've played. Last year was the Chicago Cubs that was the main nemesis of the Pirates. They were 4-14 against Chicago last year.
That's the difference for the Pirates this year. 1-7 against the Reds, but 19-13 against the rest of the Central for that manager Clint Hurdle in 6 years as the manager here in Pittsburgh. A soft liner to second. Scooter has it, and there's 2 away. Hurdle was a manager of the year. That was back in 2015. He led the Pirates to the postseason 3 straight years, 13 through 15. And they've come close in most years. They've been competitive, certainly. Here's Frazier. Robbed of extra bases on a diving catch by the right fielder Jesse Winker. 9 of 14 in the last 5 games and 447 since the All-Star break for Adam Frazier. And if you weren't with us last night, out of the lineup, the reason why Frazier's at second, he'll play some outfield and some second. Josh Harrison, the All-Star WBC performer, Cincinnati native, sitting out after injuring his leg this past weekend against San Diego. And Jayhay's been red hot. They hate to lose him in the lineup. And how many times have you seen this, Chris, trying to beat out a hit in that last step? This is Polanco's injury. That's the hamstring injury. But with Josh Harrison, it was a similar kind of injury, injuring at first base. Right back to Stevenson. 1, 2, 3. That's what Robert wants. We're heading to the 4th. Winker will lead it off.
Winker's idols in baseball, Joey Votto and Jay Bruce. In fact, Jay Bruce and him have become really good friends. After his first Major League home run last night, Jay Bruce was one of the people that called Jesse Winker. And you could say that he takes Jay Bruce to the plate each and every time. Look at the batting gloves he wears. He wears Jay Bruce's batting gloves to the plate every at-bat. That's how much he thinks of the former Red. And just like Jay Bruce we got to know over the years, stays in touch and cheering Jesse Winker on.
Not a surprise for anybody that knows Jay Bruce, and the feeling is mutual. Jesse always roots for Jay, and going in the Mets clubhouse, Chris, it's been great to see Michael Conforto, the young star for the Mets. Jay Bruce has taken him under his wing in New York City, where it's not easy to survive game in and game out, day in and day out. He's really been a stalwart of support for Michael Conforto. And when Jesse Winker first came up, he knew that Jesse was a guy destined to take his spot. Here's a dribbler through the middle of the infield. But Jay Bruce gave him time, gave him tips, and also gave him a lot of pats on the back. That's the Jay Bruce that we all know, huh?
I'll tell you, he really has a good approach. He keeps his head perfectly still, Winker does. He doesn't have a lot of extraneous movement. And his foundation is good. His feet are set under him very nicely. I'll tell you, if you look away from the TV and then look up right as he's swinging, the swing is going to remind you a lot of the guy who hits behind him. I mean, just the swing itself, not the setup and not the follow through. Of course, Votto's is packed with more power, and maybe that'll come along with Winker too.
This Joey grounded to short first time up. And if you talk to Jesse Winker and ask him, where does your swing come from? He said, it's my swing. But Joey's helped me. Jay Bruce has helped me. You mentioned Jody Davis in the minor leagues, and certainly his AAA manager, Delano DeShields, too. Everybody has a hand in it. That's a bouncer through on the right side. Winker will turn the corner at second. He'll go to third. It'll be first and third for the Reds.
Well, live by the ground ball, die by the ground ball, and that's been the case here so far for Trevor Williams. A lot of ground balls right at him here the first 3 innings, and now in this inning, one up the middle by Winker, this one by the first baseman by Votto, and Reds have something going.
Nobody out, first and third, and here's Adam. Duvall struck out looking first time up. As the Reds offense has shown signs of life in the last couple of games, Duvall's hit in 7 of his last 8, trying to get a Reds run home here. Rip to left, Marte in his tracks, Winker tagging at third. He will score easily as Marte was heading away from home plate. So a sacrifice fly for Adam. He takes over the team lead with 73 runs batted in, one more than Joey Votto. Votto had gone halfway. He retreated to first. So one away runner at first, and here's Scooter. Bounce back to the pitcher on a 3-2 pitch first time up. And the corner says Bill Miller. look at the pedigree of young players, Chris. So when you look at Trevor Williams, he grew up in a baseball-friendly area in San Diego, and he went to a baseball-friendly program. Went to Arizona State. He was one of the best pitchers in the country for a couple of years there. So you knew when you're getting him, you're getting a pretty polished pitcher.
Well, the Pirates wanted something in return. He was a #2 draft pick when he was taken out of Arizona State, so highly thought of by a lot of people around the amateur baseball scouting world. The Pirates had Jim Benedict, who was their organizational pitching coach. Some people had even elevated him to the level of being the pitch whisperer. You know, a guy that, you know, kind of walks around and sees a little something, and he can fix you just by a couple of phrases here and there. It's not that easy, but he's got a great feel for pitching and a very good mechanical assessment pitching coach. And keeps well. How about that? It is a low zone out there.
That spot has seen 3 questionable calls by Reds batters called against them. 2 of them to right-handers, and this one to a left-hander, down and away. And take another look.
And all the strikeouts that Trevor Williams has here this evening have been on the looking variety, and all of them been down in the zone. So when the Marlins really wanted Jim Benedict, this coach, and the Pirates said, all right, but we need to have some compensation for him. I mean, you know, that's and traditionally that's happened before. You know, if you remember back when Lou Piniella moved on from one spot to another, Randy Wynn went the other way. So I think that you know, it's not unprecedented. The Pirates also got a player, but the main guy they got obviously in it was Trevor Williams.
Here's Eugenio. He was one of those punched out looking. That was in the 2nd inning. 3 strikeouts now for Trevor Williams. Bell just does get a glove on it. Bell's still a work in progress at first. Spent most of his minor league time in the outfield with the load of outfielders they had. They moved him to first at Indianapolis and still working at it. Down to third. Fair ball. Backhanded. Bobbled. Long throw will be in time, but it's off the glove of Bell. It'll be scored a base hit. So Suarez will get the benefit of a bobble at third and a bobble at first, and it scored a hit.
Well, he gets it right out on the end of the bat. Another ground ball by Trevor Williams. This time the third baseman can't handle it. Well, that's a nice recovery by Freese, though. I mean, he made something out of nothing. I'm not so sure they're going to get him or not either way, but I mean, it just goes to show you, you immediately bottle the ball, you should stick with it. You keep trying to make the play until you know that it's not going to happen.
See if the Reds can cash in here. Here's Peraza, single to right, his first time up. Base hit stretched his hitting streak to 6 straight. Votto at second, checks the outfielders behind him and the infielders as well. Suarez off first. That's Boot back and out of play. 1-1. Winker a base hit to center. Votto a base hit to right. Put runners at first and third. Duvall sacrifice fly. And the Reds have a 1-0 lead, still with 2 on and 2 out here in the 4th. See, now you would have liked the microphone behind home plate here. It's so close to home plate because the screen is only about 40 feet away. It would have made your fastball sound like Nolan Ryan's, huh?
Only if I would be able to hit it directly. I mean, are you allowed to aim for it? There it is. Well, that's one of them anyway. I think isn't there another one behind?
Yep, right behind home plate.
Behind home plate.
So watch what you say during batting practice. They may be listening.
I assume they're always listening.
Good idea. Here's the 3-1. Popped up in the left. Mercer back. Here comes Marte, who'll take charge. Marte will, and that'll do it. But the Reds get 2 hits and a sacrifice fly and lead it 1-0.
Longoria is a double away from the cycle. He said he was going to second base no matter what, and here he comes around first base. The throw called out at second base, but a crew chief review overturned the call and gave Longoria the double and gave him the second cycle in Rays history. Our T-Mobile Unlimited baseball break, longest cycle droughts, Reds 1989. Eric Davis. You see the others. The Marlins are the only franchise to not have a player hit for the cycle.
JD, what's that, the 7th one this year?
That's a lot.
Yeah, man, unbelievable.
6th, I believe.
6th. That's your favorite stat, right, Chris? If you put them at the list, that's your last one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Never a cycle fan.
Although I'm a fan of the road trip cycle, which is what we had on this particular road trip. Single game in Cleveland, a double in New York, a triple here in Pittsburgh, and a 4-banger down in Miami. First one of my career, I think.
Hopefully the last.
Hasn't been that bad except from the win-loss standpoint.
Yep.
It's improving, let me put it that way.
I got a chance to make it work.
If you end it on a high note here, you build a little momentum and come back to Cincinnati where the team normally plays pretty good baseball.
Here's McCutchen to lead it off in the 4th. That slapped the other way. One look at the numbers will tell you what a bounce back year this has been for Andrew McCutchen. I mean, the numbers have continued to climb offensively. Been on base 33 of the last 37 games and hit over 350 during that period to take the average from the 200s to just about at the step of 300, and he gets low bridge there. Full count, 3-2.
Well, with the history between these two teams, and Robert Stevenson probably doesn't even know anything about it. These two teams have beamed each other more than any other teams in baseball over the last 5 or 6 years. And McCutchen's been right in the middle of them.
And the Pirates, as usual, have been hit more than any other team, and usually they hit more batters than any other team. Beat him with a fastball at 92, swing and a miss, 1 away. Strikeout number 2 for Stevenson.
You know, I'm glad he came right back with a fastball after that, not try to trick him with a little slider away, figuring that McCutchen would be pulling off the ball after getting one under the chin. he didn't pull off one bit. I think McCutcheon probably looking for something off speed.
One out. Here's Bell. Josh bounced back to the pitcher first time up. Big, long, lanky switch hitter. And Chris is a young player, somewhat unique. I mean, you saw it from the first time he came up. I mean, he'll spray the ball all over the place. He'll take a pitch up and in and go to left with it as a left-handed swinger. And if you give him something down and in, yeah, he'll jerk it down the right field line too. He has good plate coverage.
I think that plate coverage is going to shrink, George, as he gets better and better and more time in the major leagues. You just don't see that many players now that are going outside the zone, chasing pitches and actually, you know, having success with it.
Won't turn 25 until later this month.
Tell you what he tells me with that stance of his, though, that he's ready to drop that bat head. He may have that bat flat, but how tall he's standing, he wants something down and out over the plate. He goes down to get it there.
And Winker will haul it in. 2 away. Reds at Fox Sports Ohio would like to wish Bert Lakes a happy birthday as he celebrates 92 years of age. Bert lives in Carlisle, Ohio, and is a World War II prisoner of war. Bert, thanks for your service. And we also wish you a very happy 92nd birthday, and we wish you very many more. Two away. Here's Freese, walked to lead off the second. Down to short, scooped by Peraza. And that's a very calm 1-2-3. 9 straight retired since the walk to Freese for Stevens. Is being brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Great to have you with us here in the Steel City of Pittsburgh from PNC Park, looking at downtown Pittsburgh, the Roberto Clemente Bridge, the 6th Street Bridge at the bottom of your screen, where they close it during ball games to traffic, to vehicular traffic before and after the ball games. And folks parade from downtown here and back. Jesse does his morning walk and jog there every morning. Right, Jess? Here's Tucker Barnhart, George Gray, Chris Welch, and Jim Day here. Jesse Jackson has made the trek in from the Queen City to join us up here in the booth and down in the truck. Josh Hall, our producer, Roy Alfers, our director. Matt Sigafus dialing up some highlights for you. He's had some good ones last couple of nights. And Lauren White with some graphic support. Don't forget, we'll be checking in a little later on back in the studio. Jeff DeCoro, Brian Giesenslaw, Kent Dreamweaver, Ron Millinor, and the whole crew will be filling you in on what's going on around Major League Baseball. And of course, after the game, you'll hear from Brian Price and the Reds players before anybody else. Last night, when you went up to Homer Bailey after the game, after his victory for the Reds, Bailey, number-wise, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. He says, "Why are you talking to me? Go talk to that guy," meaning Tucker Barnhart. He says, "He got me through tonight." He said, "There was a point I didn't have anything. Tucker got me back on the beam, and end result, Chris, you get a bunch of runs and you get a W."
Sometimes you pitch better when you don't think you have your good stuff, when you're just out there trying to survive, and I think catchers sense that. And Barnhart's got that sixth sense that, you want your catcher. Did a nice job last night. He's doing an excellent job tonight with Stevenson.
That's a little full count, 3-2.
Yeah, Tucker took an extra look at that one because that's in the same vicinity where Williams has had 3 Reds hitters rung up on him. A little right below the knee spot.
That's ball 4. But Barnhart takes the walk after flying out his first time up. And of all the young pitchers that the Pirates have, this guy is probably the stingiest giving up bases on balls. That's one of the reasons why he's had some success.
Well, he pitches to contact. I mean, he's never been a high strikeout pitcher. You can look at his stuff. He doesn't have a real put away pitch, but he has enough movement and he keeps the ball down in the zone that he gets ground balls in an era where most hitters are trying to hit the ball in the air.
Stevenson got a successful sacrifice down his first time, sending Peraza to second, trying to do it again.
See, this is where, if I'm Trevor Stevens, or if I'm Trevor Williams, I'm trying to get a strikeout now. I've only got 1 strike on Stevenson, but I really don't want him to advance a runner and have the lineup turn over and me have to face Hamilton, Winker, and Votto, perhaps with the runner in scoring position. And more than likely, he'll chase a pitch out of the zone. That's what pitchers do when they're asked to bunt, especially inexperienced pitchers.
They had him bunting still with 2 strikes last time, and he got it down. That's why. I love the old Tom Seaver philosophy. Tom Terrific said, "I'll give you 1 fastball down the middle in a sacrifice situation. If you don't get the bunt down, I'm going to try to punch you out." Of course,
and that included getting low bridged a couple of times.
Yep. And not this time. He fouls it off. It'll go as a strikeout. 4th for Williams. Let's go back to the studio for this update. Thanks, Brian. We'll have more on that coming up on Reds Live postgame. Oh, it's great. Not only the players have the opportunity to play Great American Ballpark, the coaches, and of course, this is the community fund night here in Pittsburgh tonight, trying to raise money for the Pirates Community Fund. Of course, when we had ours in June, what a spectacular night, honoring the RBI program, honoring the community fund. Here's the strike 1 delivery to Billy with the runner at first. End result, Chris, it was amazing. I know you've talked to Charlie Frank. Unbelievable. Over $155,000 raised in that community fund effort. What a special time.
It was a special game, special night, George. It happened to be after, of course, the night by the 4 home run night of Scooter Gennett. So Everything was just kind of bubbling at that time. It was just really, really fun. And what the Reds Community Fund has done in the community, behind the driving force of Charlie, Frank, and all the people that are involved in there. We always hear Charlie's name, but it takes an army of people, including a lot of interns and volunteers, to make it happen. And I'll tell you what, the place to be these next few days is, you know, either down at the ballpark to watch those games or out there at the Urban Youth Center, where the Reds Community Fund is based. There's some great fields out there. There'll be some great games to watch.
1 ball, 2 strikes, swing and a miss by Billy Hamilton. JD, special time, and I know here with the Community Fund effort tonight, it's also Stand Up to Cancer night tonight for the Pirates.
Yeah, and Trevor Williams is a guy that's been affected by it. No matter what he accomplishes on a Major League Baseball field, I'm not sure he can eclipse September 7th of last year. That was the night that Williams beat the Cardinals 4-3, and after the game, he was able to hand the ball to his father, Richard, who was in attendance 10 months after having been given 90 days to live. He had been diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, after which it was recommended that he prepare a will. Then a miracle happened. Maybe seeing his son win has something to do with it, because 2 months later, Richard Williams was declared fully cured, and he's living a healthy life today.
Yeah, all our families, JD, your family's been touched. All our families in one way touched with cancer, and we all fight the battle together. Stand up and be noticed. Here's Jesse Winker. Jesse, single last time up. He's 1 for 2. Reds got a leadoff walk to Barnhart, nothing to show for it.
The league does not have a book yet on Jesse Winker, and that'll come. You know, you kind of get a gimme the first time through the league, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter. You can kind of sneak up on him a little bit. In Winker's case, just be a good fastball hitter, because that's the first thing that they'll test with you. Can you hit that fastball? They'll challenge you inside, see what your bat speed is, see what your reaction time is. Then they'll start dropping some breaking pitches away, expand the zone. Will you chase when you're down in the count?
Hardy on that one, and that's 3 strikeouts in the inning. 6 strikeouts on the night for Trevor Williams. Reds still lead it 1-0. In baseball at the ballpark for only $20 with the Paycor Business Day special. You get a ticket to see your Reds take on the Pirates, plus $10 in concession credits. For tickets, visit reds.com/skipwork. Some restrictions apply. They never had to tell you to do that too much, did they, Jesse? Or was that school? Raised in Jolly Roger, Chris.
Well, just think how fearsome Pirates would have been had they had cell phones back then. Like he does.
Probably would have dropped it in the ocean, though, huh? Walk the plank. There's Polanco, fly to left first time up. Chris, last time out, Robert Stevenson walked the city of Miami. This time out, he's been more under control.
Well, he just looks less nervous to me. He looks like he's a little bit calmer. He's throwing many more strikes with his fastball. That was the one thing that has stood out to me the last couple of times out for Stevenson. Is that he almost seemed like he was afraid of being hit with his fastball. So he'd nibble with his fastball and then try to come back and pitch with his breaking ball in the zone. But I mean, he's showing himself tonight that, you know, just make reasonably good pitches down in the zone. You're going to get some outs. You'll get a lot of mishits.
2-0. And that's way high. He goes behind 3-0.
All right, this is where you take a little time now and wipe your brow. You check your shoes. You rub the ball up a little bit. Maybe grab some rosin. And you forget all about the 3-0 count. And you say, all right, what am I going to do on this pitch right here? I want to throw a strike. Aim at the middle of the plate, right across the knees.
And there's ball 4. It's his second walk, second leadoff walk. He walked Freeze on 4 pitches in the second inning. And here comes Mercer, who struck out back in the second.
This is where Stevenson last time out said he knew he was doing something wrong. He knew what it was, but he couldn't fix it. Well, the biggest challenge for pitchers is to be your own pitching coach when you're on the mound, because you're constantly adjusting. And this is what he's got to do right here, adjust to keep that front shoulder in a little bit more.
Polanco's stolen base threat. You don't know how much now after coming off the pulled hamstring, though. Pretty good base runner behind him, Kim Barty, first base coach here now. The former first base coach, Nick Lave, is still with the organization, but he's a roving minor league instructor now. Joey Cora's over in the third base box. Yeah, I saw something, Chris, I hadn't seen in a long time before the game today. Joey Cora, before the game, was in the third base coach's box, and during batting practice, and runners were, after their last hit in the cage, they'd be out running the bases. He was practicing waving a runner on. I mean, he was in the box as the ball was hit. He ran down the third baseline waving his left arm to come around. I hadn't seen that, I mean, years.
Now, was he doing it with players running the bases?
No, this was just him working out.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, he said, you know, you get to my age, you got to get the left arm loose to go the game. What a worker.
You know, I've never seen a mime be a third base coach.
That's right.
Maybe he'll be the first.
What a worker as a player, huh? Boy, he would tireless taking ground balls in the infield, and he's that way as a coach too.
Maybe we'll see him down there at the wharf next time we go to San Francisco.
Waving the boats in, or being a mime, either one. Short lead for Polanco from the stretch. Here's the 1-2. Just missing down and away. Mercer's average was in the 230s the last time the Reds played the Pirates. He's gotten up to 263 now. That's a call, strike 3 on the inside corner, almost the same spot again that the Reds have questioned. But Bill Miller's been consistent in that corner. Mercer saying, you got to be kidding me.
Well, you know what the pitchers union says. Too close to take.
And you talk about framing. How about the flick of the wrist by Barnhart?
Yeah, I don't even know if that really affects umpires as much as people seem to want to give catchers credit for. I think the main thing is catch it cleanly without a lot of glove movement afterwards. The more glove movement afterwards, I mean, that's going to be detected by the umpire. He's probably made up his mind by the time he sees the ball going over the plate. But on the real marginal pitch, that's the one, if you're real steady and you get to the spot before the ball gets there and you catch it with the kind of movement coming back into the zone, that's when you can make it look like a strike. That's a pretty good bunt.
If it rolls foul, the Reds have a chance, and it will roll foul. They had no chance if that stayed fair. Good job by Suarez. His only option was to let it roll. Sneak attack, bottom of the order, but it rolls foul. Another look. Strike one to the Pirate catcher who lined to left first time up. That ended the second inning. Oh, and 2. Reds have won 7 of 8 against Pittsburgh this year. They've combined good pitching and clutch pitching with some good offense against the Pirates, something they've had difficulty doing against most other teams.
Well, you know, Chris Stewart, the batter here for the Pirates, is living proof that you can make a living and play in the big leagues a long time. Maybe not a lot, but you can play over a long period of time if you're a good backup catcher. He has spent 11 of the last 12 years with some kind of time in the major leagues.
1-2 up and in, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I mean, even if it's going all the way back to 2008 when he played in 1 game that year for the New York Yankees. It's enough to keep the pension alive, enough to keep you on the big league insurance. That string continues. Last 4 years in a row he's been with the Pirates.
Down to third, charging, bobbled, but they will still get the out at first. Just as you remarked about Freeze, don't lose your cool, hang in there. Suarez does that, doesn't get a double play, but gets the out at first.
You know, the first time I ever heard that, George, was when I was playing in rookie ball. I remember the manager that we had, Art Masmanian, down at the very lowest level of the summer A leagues. We're really getting after all the infielders during infield practice. You know, don't drop your head, don't be dejected, don't kick the dirt when you muff one. Go ahead and get after it immediately and see if there's still a play somewhere.
And here's Williams, who bounced out to second first time up, and they're in the infield at third and second and first. You got a chance to do that on harder hit balls. Shortstop, usually if you bobble it, very difficult to make a play, but at third, Suarez showed you how to do it. Don't panic. So Polanco moves to second in scoring position. Pirates last night did not have many opportunities with runners in scoring position. They did have 2 hits, but they've been under 100 against the Reds with runners in scoring position this year. Pretty good lead for Polanco. 2-1. Good speed at second, but yes, coming off a stint on the DL with a pulled hamstring. Clips the top of the strike zone. 2-2. Outfield shallow with the pitcher batting. So even a base hit here, no guarantee that it'll produce a run. The Reds are all within distance to be able to make a throw to the plate in the outfield. Won't need it. That's a strikeout. Fourth strikeout for Stevenson tonight. And he's got a lead, 1-0.
Talked many times about the conversations he has at first base with opposing players. Well, you never know where those conversations are going to lead. Last year with Josh Bell, who weighed in at 248 pounds last year, they were having a conversation at first base, and Josh Bell said, hey, I need the extra weight for power. And Votto said, it has very little to do with power, your weight. Look at Jose Altuve, gave him other examples. Well, he checked in at 226 pounds this year, some 22 pounds lighter. And when asked about it, he credited it starting, the idea at least, with that conversation with Joey Votto at first base.
So, JD, you spend so much time with Joey. What conversations have you had about your training regimen?
Well, obviously, he's had no effect on me.
Does he totally endorse that big ice cream sundae you have after each one of our dinners here in Pittsburgh?
That would not be Votto endorsed. In fact, he is one of the healthiest eaters I have ever seen.
Oh, now wait a minute. The guy's sitting next to me now. He's changed his routine, hasn't he?
You know, that's true. Chris will.
I'm not in the same class, though, with Votto.
Have a kale salad.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Kale on top of that ice cream. 2 balls, 1 strike to Joey. 11 for 26 now. 400 on the road trip. Drill to center field. Back looking up off the base of the wall. A double for Votto, and he's now 2 for 3 and 12 for 27 on the road trip. 2-bagger number 20 for Joey, and the Reds have a runner in scoring position here in the 6th.
Yeah, there was a time early in the road trip that people thought, well, boy, maybe Joey Votto's just tired. I was one of them. But it doesn't mean you need days off in order to get your breath back and get your swing back. You know, sometimes you change your routine a little bit. You get some different kind of rest. You start hitting, and then more hitting leads to more hitting. That's the way it goes for Votto anyhow. Well, what a short swing and a powerful drive, dead center field.
Here's Adams, sacrifice fly, played it a run in the 4th. 0 for 1, struck out his first time up. High in the air to center, going back. McCutchen at the wall, looking up, got it. Votto had to go halfway. He'll retreat to second.
You know, McCutchen gave Votto the idea that maybe that ball was going out of here, or at least was going to go off the wall. McCutchen took his eye off the ball not once but twice, as he retreated onto the track to catch that. I think if he had gone back and played it more like a very easily catchable ball, Votto would have gone back to second base, and then he would have tagged up and gone into third. But he wanted to make sure that he was able to score if that ball did end up coming off the wall.
His first move was to go back and tag up, and then when he saw McCutchen had a beat on it, and you know, there was one of the areas of discourse that McCutchen has had with the Pirates over the last couple of years. McCutchen likes to play deep. You know, in this day and age of analytics, the Pirates and all their numbers believe that they wanted to play their outfielders tighter because it would save more runs in the end. They forced McCutchen to play in 4 or 5 steps in center field, which he didn't like to do. He did it because that's the way they wanted to do it. And this year they've kind of left him alone. He can play where he wants to play after he moved back to center. And he's back deep right now. Here's Scooter, bounced to the pitcher and struck out.
I think it's a matter of taste with a lot of different outfielders as to whether they want to play shallow or not. Some guys like to play shallow, and they dare the hitter to get it over their head. They feel very comfortable going back on it. Maybe after all the years of running into walls, McCutchen doesn't want any part of that, and he wants it to be easier behind him, and he can come in faster than he can go back.
And McCutchen's, of course, been a Gold Glover. So, I mean, you got to cut him some slack. I mean, Chris, over the years, we've seen bad outfielders who play just about on the warning track because they don't want anything hit over their heads. They want everything in front of them. McCutchen's not one of those. And yeah, he's lost a step maybe, but he's still an above average defensive player. The analytics might tell you differently when you add up numbers, but you ask guys that play next to him, he does the little things, places his left fielders and right fielders, moves them over a step here or there. Here's the 2-1. Dribbled toward short. Backhand by Mercer. Long throw.
Safe.
Not in time. Great hustle by Scooter.
The Reds are certainly getting their share of those hits that have seeing eyes on them. This ball into Hall. Mercer makes a nice play. Jeanette gets down the line too quick.
Number 4 busted down the line, beats the throw by a step, so it's first and second. 1 out, and here's Eugenio.
It's funny how Duvall smacks a ball almost 400 feet and it comes in for an out. And then next guy hits a little soft grounder to the shortstop and ends up as a base hit. The give and take of baseball.
You tell hitters that evens out. Most of them won't buy that, though. Huh?
Well, neither will pitchers.
Nope. That's chapter 6 of the pitcher's manual, isn't it? Votto off second. Scooter off first. 1 out. Suarez takes it on the inside corner for a strike. 1-1.
Well, Williams is looking for a ground ball right here. He's a ground ball pitcher. He gets about 50% ground balls, puts him in the grounder range. He's also thrown up 10 ground ball double plays so far this year.
That misses.
And really the best pitch, right on righty, for a ground ball double play is not a breaking ball or a fastball away. It's a fastball that kind of dives down and in. And if you throw it in the right spot, there's really not a whole lot that a hitter can do for it, except maybe hit it hard and on the ground to the left side.
Williams to the stretch. Here's the 2-1. Pirates 110 double plays on the year. They're always one of the top 3 or 4 double play teams in the National League. And that goes to 2 things. Number 1, they've got a lot of ground ball pitchers. That's what is preached by their pitching coach, Ray Searage. And they've had some outstanding defenders over the years, too. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Setting up down and away is Stewart. He wanted that one, doesn't get it, and we'll go full 3-2.
guess you can't have them all.
Staying alive, Suarez. Get to 2 strikes. Freezes drop back a couple of steps and way off the bag at third. Votto keeps peeking around. The second baseman Frazier trying to keep him as close as he can so he doesn't get a big secondary lead. I mean, you don't do it 3-2 with 1 out very often. But as Frazier moves away from the bag, and the Reds could pick a pocket here and send both runners. Very unlikely, but and that's what Williams is thinking too. Votto's been trying to inch off a little bit more with every pitch. Scooter's got his eyes on Joey. He's not going anywhere unless he sees Joey go. There they go. And the pitch is ball 4. Well, aggressive move by the Reds to try to get something going. In any event, the walk will load the bases.
And that's a pretty quick hook right here, I think. Clint Hurdle's already made the move to the bullpen.
Yeah, you look at the numbers, though. He hasn't gone over 100 pitches this year. He's been around 90 to 98 in most nights, so he's right at 95 right now. And with the bases loaded and 1 out, that'll be it for Trevor Williams. And while the pitching change takes place, time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. The Dodgers take on Yoenis Cespedes and the Mets. It's East Coast versus West Coast. That's 3 o'clock Saturday, only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Home run number 30 for Cody Bellinger tonight. That's within 5 of Mike Scioscia's rookie record. I mean, of Mike Piazza's rookie record. Scioscia wish he hit 30 homers in a season. Piazza 35 homers for the Dodgers. There's Daniel Hudson will take over. So Trevor Williams goes 5 1/3, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. The runner's on his responsibility, and the Reds trying to cash him in against this right-hander out of the bullpen. Here's Peraza, single and a fly ball out. The single stretches hitting streak to 6 straight. Joey Votto doubled. He's at third. Scooter reached on an infield hit, and Suarez walked. From the stretch is Hudson. Peraza 2 for 3 against him in their previous matchups. Skied into right center. Here comes Polanco. He's got it. Nobody's going anywhere. Polanco's got a great arm. These are three of the better arms in the National League in the outfield right now for Pittsburgh. And there's two away. Here comes Tucker. Barnhart in his matchups with Hudson 1 for 2. One grand salami in his career for Tucker. Today a fly ball out and a walk. Hudson started off slowly in April, but since May has been one of the more reliable right-handers out of the bullpen for Clint Hurdle. Here he's behind 2-0, bases loaded, 2 outs. We're in the 6th. The Reds clinging to a 1-run lead. A run scoring on a Duvall sacrifice fly back in the 4th. 97 on that fastball, and it's 2-1. In the dirt, it'll get away from Stewart, but no advance from Votto.
Now you got to figure that Tucker Barnhart readying himself here on a 3-1 count, going to get something that he can lay the wood to.
Off third, Scooter off second, Suarez off first. Here's the 3-1 to the Reds catcher. Full count, 3-2. So the Reynolds will be in motion with 2 away. Ball 4 and a walk in a run. So a walk loaded him, and Hudson walks the first he faces. That'll give the Reds their 2nd run. They lead it 2-0. That run charged to Trevor Williams. Gus Stevenson, 2 times up, has been asked to sacrifice. Once he did it successfully. 2nd time fouled one off on 2 strikes.
I'm giving him the green light right here on the first pitch he sees.
Why not? You know he's not going to bunt here. Go to Rippon. Little tardy at 97 though.
That's what 97 can do to you.
You're not kidding.
Stevenson's probably thinking it was easier to throw 97 than it is to hit 97.
Strike 1 to Robert. A call, strike 3. The Reds will strand 3. They've stranded 7. Well, leadoff double by Joey for naught. Reds still lead it 2-0. They do pick up an extra run. Stevenson taking the mound after walking 7 his last time out. Chris, a little bit different story for Robert this time around.
Well, he just looks so much more confident out there. He's not trying to be perfect with his pitches. He's got some defense behind him. First inning, got to tell you, I mean, they were hitting the ball very hard off of him. But, you know, you just stick with it. Very much like what Homer Bailey did last night. Homer wavered in the first inning, had a long first inning where he pitched to 7 or 6 batters. Stevenson has been cruising right along ever since that hard-hitting first inning. Only 1 hit and a couple of walks to blemish the record tonight.
Back to the top of the order go the Pirates. Marte will lead it off. Frazier and McCutchen will follow. 2 runs, 6 hits, 7 left for the Reds. No runs, 1 hit, 3 left for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Marte flied out, lined out 0 for 2. Showing bunt, pops it up. Stevenson can't get it, and it'll be a base hit.
It was probably the only play going to be made. I'm not so sure that Suarez could have come in and made that play. Marte really can run down the line. Not Billy Hamilton style, but he's still fleet of foot.
Diving effort, and he never does get a glove on it before it hits the turf. So it hit the turf first, and they want to make sure Stevenson's okay. He landed on the right shoulder as he fell down. Yep. Steve Ballman, the Reds trainer, out to check him out. Just take a couple of tosses to make sure the shoulder's okay.
Boy, I mean, he did fall on his right shoulder. Don't you know that as you're falling down, like, don't fall on my pitching arm?
Yeah, you've been there, Chris. You make that effort, you're not really thinking until it's too late, huh?
I never came back throwing his arm as he did, though.
Says I'm all right. Brian Price overseeing the operation. So Marte, who can steal a base, down at first on the bunt base hit. And here comes Frazier. Frazier lined out, bounced out, 0 for 2. chase Marte back to the bag.
Hey, really first situation where the Pirates have had a runner on base and could be a stolen base threat. And Stevenson is really not that great yet at holding runners on.
Strike one to the second baseman for the Pirates. A little bit bigger lead for Marte this time. Not going. That's down and in. Marte has stolen 7 of 9 this year. That would give him 167 for his career. I mean, you combine him with McCutchen, who's sitting on 169 for his career. And Polanco, you've got 3 stolen base threats in the lineup when they're in there every night.
I think Joey Votto had equipment malfunction. I wonder if Stevenson threw that ball right through the webbing of Votto's glove. It could be Jim Day's glove. It's got to be around here somewhere. There it is.
Nice glove, he says.
Yeah. JD, he likes it.
Most players have one game glove and then another one they're breaking in on a regular basis. Marte chased back again.
Well, they used to have a guy, of course, it was Bernie Stowe, who would do the repairs on the spot.
Right there. Yep.
He would lace those gloves up. He had all the equipment and lacing needed to redo them. I imagine Ricky Stowe knows how to do that, at least to a certain extent.
Runner not going, down and in for a ball, 2-1. Tomas Vera is checking it out and seeing what he can do to repair it. I'm not sure, that might have been Patrick Kivlehan's glove that he was saying nice glove to. Popped up left side. Peraza calling who's going to take charge. He will. Well, they get Frazier for the first out. Runner still at first. Same play happened to the Orioles just the night before last. Broken glove at first, and that was a 1-run game in the 9th inning. Here's McCutchen. Single, struck out, 1 for 2. In the dirt, kicks away from Barnhart, and going to second will be Marte.
Yeah, this ball bounces so far in front of where the catcher is. He just doesn't have a chance unless he just almost moves up on the ball to kind of block it right there.
Looks like it hit the front of the plate and just exploded in front of Barnhart. There's McCutchen sitting on 66 runs batted in with the runner out at second. Well, unlike the last inning where with Williams at the plate, infield was at normal depth and the outfield was pinched in, with McCutchen at the plate, the outfield deep and a step towards right. So a base hit should score Marte with great speed easily. One ball, one strike. Asked former Cincinnati Red infielder Jeff Branson, who's now the hitting coach here in Pittsburgh, what's the difference And Andrew McCutchen this year, he's got his average back to near 300 when he was in the low 200s last year. And he said, you know, it's not any one thing. We've made a couple of mechanical adjustments, but he said, I wanted to learn how to hit all over again. He worked at it in the offseason, worked at it in the preseason. This hit high in the air to left. Marte will go halfway. And there's your second out. Let's go back to Jeff Piccolo for an update from Cincinnati. Thanks, Pick. Early exit for Trevor Williams, and it'll be an early exit for Robert Stevenson, who will exit with a lead 2-0. And Chris, I think you hit the nail on the head talking about these young pitchers, get them to the point where they could have a good feeling about an outing. Stevenson has had that tonight. We'll talk more about it while the pitching change takes place. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Stevenson on the other side of it has allowed the Pirates only 2 hits into this point, no runs, with Marte out at second base. Good reason for him to have a smile on his face, Chris.
Well, he pitched a whole lot better than he did last time out. I probably thought last time that it was the end of the world. When you go out there and walk 7 batters, you embarrass yourself. You can't seem to get out of your own way. Today, under control right from the very first time he went out there, and you can tell that he feels a whole lot better about it. Talking to Sal Romano, gives way to Michael Lorenzen. This is where the Reds could usually, could use a left-hander if they wanted to turn Josh Bell around to the other side.
Well, Lorenzen comes in facing Bell tonight, bounced back to the pitcher and lined to right. Lorenzen, one of 5 Reds pitchers with 40 appearances or more, with an ERA of just under 4. Hit hard right back through the middle. That's a base hit, and that'll get a run home. The throw to the plate. Roll. Did he get it? Did he hold on? He's safe. Boy, what a job by Hamilton charging to make a play out of what looked like a sure run-scoring hit. In fact, at first he missed him. Marte never touched the plate, came back and finally got a hand on it, and the Pirates are on the board.
Well, with 2 outs, you hardly ever see it this close, especially with a fast runner like Marte. Booking it the whole way, the throw, if Barnhart's able to hold on to it, he's going to be out, but it just comes out of his glove. Marte comes back and tags the bag.
Brian Price looking at the replay, deciding whether to challenge. He won't. Well, the Pirates get a run. It's 2-1. That run charged to Stevenson, and Bell goes to second on the throw. Oh, the tying run out at second. And here's Freese. There's a rocket right past Lorenzen and past the shortstop Peraza. Hamilton charging all the way, came up with a perfect throw to the plate. Freese tonight walked and bounced out 0 for 1. In the dirt 2-0.
You know, one thing I've noticed over the last couple of weeks with Michael Lorenzen is when he finishes his delivery, he's got that kind of a recoil action where he lands almost upright rather than getting way out over his left knee. Sometimes you have a tendency to not finish your breaking ball when you land too upright. You know, and I know that the pitching coaches have talked to him about it. I've talked to him about it, asked him why he was doing it. He thinks he can keep his arm arc and his arm slot better when he stays tall.
That's a strike. 3-1 to Freese. There's Tomas Vera still working on Joey Votto's glove on the Reds bench. Line drive, that's in the right. Winker charging. Here comes Bell around third. The throw to the plate will not be in time, and the Pirates have tied it. Solid at bat by Freese, and 2 hard hit balls off Lorenzen since he's come in.
Well, you get down in the count 3-0, and you come in there with a 3-0 fastball, and the batter is able to just measure you. After you see enough pitches, you just get a lot better idea. So now you're still in a hitter's count, and you know you come in with a fastball and you lay the wood to it.
So Freese is on at first. The Pirates have tied it, and no longer can Stevenson be a winning pitcher on this night. We're tied at 2. Here's Polanco, flied out and walked.
You know, I know every pitcher wants to win the game that you start, but quite frankly, when you're going 5 2/3, you know you're laying a lot to somebody else to secure your win. So I think that Stevenson's probably just happy with what he was able to do.
And I think that's what Brian Price wanted him to lead with. And the last swing by McCutchen, he just missed on that fly ball to left.
Well, Price didn't bring in Lorenzen so that the game would be tied by the end of the inning. He just thought his best shot was to bring in a fresh Lorenzen to try to get out of it.
There are times when Lorenzen's come in and been dominant. There are other times when he's gotten behind batters and suffered the consequences. This one of them. 2 hard hit balls were tied. That's a strike. 1-2. Two. Down to short. Peraza will tap the bag, and that'll do it. But Josh Bell's single and Freese's single ties the game at 2. We're heading to the 7th. get a Reds ticket and a limited edition Game of Thrones Dragon bobblehead. Purchase the Game of Thrones ticket package at Reds.com/themes. The Dragon bobblehead only available with a purchase of the Game of Thrones ticket package. Well, the Reds led this one 2-0. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Cincinnati is stranded 7. Pirates 2 4-0. Robert Stevenson exits with 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 run charged against him. 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. And who was the first to greet him after Lorenzen gave up those 2 hits? But Robert Stevenson. Lorenzen obviously unhappy with giving up the 2 hits, but brand new ball game, and the Reds will have to do some business against this bullpen. Joaquin Benoit, who was just picked up when they traded Tony Watson at the trading deadline. Benoit in the bullpen. We'll deal with the top of the order. Billy Hamilton bunted, but in the air, and Benoit will have it. Long-time right-hander out of a lot of bullpens, Chris, serviceable, and a guy who can fill a lot of roles.
Well, they hope to get better service out of Benoit than the Phillies did this year. He's only a couple of years removed from having some really sensational years with the San Diego Padres in 2014 and 15. He was lights out. Been around a long time. Broke in with the Texas Rangers in the year 2001.
There's Jesse. Hamilton now 0 for 4. Bounced back to the pitcher, lined to right, struck out, and popped up to the pitcher on that bunt attempt. Winker bounced to second, singled to center in the 4th. That started a Reds rally that produced a run on a sacrifice fly by Duvall. The other run came on a walk to Barnhart with the bases loaded. Check swing, fouled into the dugout of the Pirates. 0-2. Closer for the Pirates now is Felipe Rivero. He's been just about unhittable. 9 for 9 in save opportunities this year. And an ERA of under 1. No balls, 2 strikes to Winker. Votto, 2 more hits tonight, single to right, and a leadoff double in the 6th on deck. 2 for 3. Of course, the Pirates with their farm team in Indianapolis and the Reds in Louisville, they got pretty good scouting reports on each other. Winker, of course, playing for Louisville, plays the Indianapolis team on a regular basis. And you figure, Chris, as he spends more time up here, the testing will continue. This one hit pretty good to right. Did he get another one? Going way back. That's way out of here. Jesse Winker to the last row of the seats. And how about Wink? Jesse Winker, with a wink of an eye, has 2 homers in this series, and he's given the Reds a lead. What a couple of days for the newest Red, Chris.
Well, that's got to feel some kind of good for Jesse Winker. I mean, with just the same swing that he uses down in AAA, he's hitting home runs up here in the big league. And that ball was no cheapie.
Last night when he hit his first major league homer, he went through the dugout. Nobody gave him high fives and then joined the celebration. Tonight they're there to greet him as he gives the Reds a 3-2 lead. So a bright moment for Winker and for Benoit in his first appearance as a Pirate. A downer for him. Boy, he drilled that one, Chris. High in the air, a high arcing fly ball. 396 feet worth of homer. There's Votto, tardy on that swing, 1-1. Not many people have faced Benoit on the Reds roster. like nobody more than 2 at bats. Lotto's faced him once and walked. That's a strike. 1 and 2. Down and away. Take another look at Winker's second homer. Sweet swing. In fact, that may have gotten out of the stadium if that guy in the last row hadn't gotten his hands up right by the fence, the top of the fence. Two to Votto. You know, Chris, as we got scouting reports and you hear minor league coaches and other managers talk about Jesse Winker in the minor leagues the last couple of years, people say, well, where's the power? You know, and realistically, when you look at it, he's had 2 wrist injuries in the last 2 years. So, I mean, sometimes it takes you more than a year or sometimes 2 years to get completely back from any hand or wrist injury. And he said he right now, for the first time in his career, feels stronger and he feels better at the plate than he's ever felt.
Well, you know, there were some people that followed him around the minor leagues and said that perhaps his wrist injuries indirectly would have a positive effect on him because he's learned now how to use the whole field, hit the ball the other way instead of coming up trying to do what everybody wanted him to do, which is hit home runs.
This one sliced into left. Marte there. He'll haul it in. Second out of the inning.
I think the other thing about Jesse Winker is you look at him, he doesn't look like a big home run hitter. He's not muscular. He's not, you know, toned and shaped, you know, like some of these guys you see. And you say, well, I mean, how's this guy going to hit home runs? He doesn't even look as big as, you know, so-and-so. But he's big enough, and it's all about bat speed and getting the barrel of the bat on the ball.
Here's Duvall, struck out, sacrifice fly, knocked in the Reds' first run, and then hit one to the wall in center field for a fly ball out. It'll overshift to the left side against him. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Andrew Benintendi, too, Jesse Winker. You look at him and you think this guy's not that big, but the ball just flies off his bat.
We can only hope.
Yeah. 3-2 Reds. That's pop foul. 1-1. Another one down into the corner of the Pirate dugout. They've been busy scampering around down there tonight. At Milwaukee tonight, the Cardinals leading the Brewers 2-1. They're in the 5th, and Wrigley tonight, scoreless. Arizona and the Cubs. Also in inning number 5. Miami leading Washington 7-0. Dodgers and Atlanta tied at 3. And the Mets in Colorado scoreless in the 3rd. Two balls, 2 strikes to the Reds left fielder with Scooter Gennett on deck. And we'll go full again.
Boy, Benoit, for 39 years old, still getting it up there between 95 and 97. You know, all his peripheral numbers are all about the same, but he's not having the kind of year this year that the Phillies thought he would. That's why he's here wearing a Pirates uniform. When I mean peripheral numbers, I'm talking about, you know, the percentages of home runs he's giving up, his strikeout percentage, his walks per 9 inning, his walks to strikeouts, all those things that you begin to look at when you try to evaluate a pitcher beyond wins, losses, saves, and earned run average.
Stewart setting up down and away on the 3-2 with 2 away. And spoiled by Duvall. Good plate coverage by Adam. He's come up and in on him and down and away with him.
Well, he's a little late on the fastball. He might be protecting himself from the breaking ball. That's one way you get to that slider, is you keep fouling off the fastball. Duvall's probably the best breaking ball hitter the Reds have.
Fastball away again, same spot. Well, pretty good right center field. Polanco has a beat on it though, and he'll haul it in. But one big swing from Jesse Winker. 2 more hits tonight. Home run number 2 for his career, and the Reds have a 3-2 lead. 1-run lead now, and Chris Lorenzen will stay in the game. Let's see if he can keep it where it is, and the Reds can ride this one home.
Well, he'll face the bottom of the order here for the Pirates in the bottom of the 7th inning. Mercer, Stewart, and a pinch hitter in the pitcher spot.
Mercer due to lead it off, Stewart to follow. And in between innings, part of tonight's community fund effort by the Pittsburgh Pirates, Stand Up to Cancer Night here. And JD, we've talked about it, not only players but everybody in the ballpark touched one way or another by cancer.
Silence as we honor the memories of those who have lost their battles and pray for strength and courage for those whose battles are ongoing.
Reds lead it 3-2. Here's Mercer against Michael Lorenzen. Mercer tonight struck out swinging, struck out looking, 0 for 2. Stewart behind him. There's a liner off the glove, backhanded by Scooter, and they'll get the out. Well, that's 3 hard hit balls since Lorenzen's come in. Fortunately for the Reds, right at the second baseman.
I really believe that when you have the recoil kind of follow through that Michael is employing recently, you don't get the extension towards home plate that you get when you finish with your head out over your front knee. The idea of a right-handed pitcher is your head should be way out over your left knee. That's your landing knee. When you get it way out there, you know, that way you're kind of reaching towards the plate, trying to shorten the distance between the time, you know, you let the ball until it hits a catcher's glove. And pitchers develop different things as they go along. It starts to feel good, so they continue to do it, and that's, you know, that's why Michael is doing that now. He says if he gets too over this knee, he ends up getting too high with his arm. So he's found his good arm slot, and that's one way of keeping him there.
2 balls, no strikes to Stewart with 1 out. Pitcher spot due up next, and John Jason's moved into the on-deck circle. You know, there's been talk, and Michael Lorenzen has made no secret of it. He'd like to try starting. And over the long haul, that recoil mechanic does not make it easy to be a long-time starter.
Well,
down to third, Suarez has it, 2 away.
you know, think back either in your memory or go back onto YouTube or somewhere and try to look up how many really successful big league pitchers had that recoil action at the very end of their delivery, and then make your decision from there. If you find a few that you want to emulate, that's great, but I can't think of that.
It won't be Jason, it'll be Josh Harrison, who did not start the last 2 days after tweaking his leg Sunday in San Diego. He's been red hot. 278 coming in, 11 homers, 33 knocked in for Josh on the WBC team, an all-star. Hit over 300 in his last 11, and you know his story against the Reds. Had 3 homers against them last year, 6 homers in the last 2 years against Cincinnati. Cincinnati product, high school and UC as well, and a guy who brings energy, electricity to the clubhouse every day and to his dugout as well. 1 ball from Lorenzen. Harrison 0 for 2 against Lorenzen in their matchups. And it's 3-0. Swing and a miss at the breaking ball, so it'll go full 3 balls 2 strikes to Harrison, as Lorenzen, given a 1-run lead, tries to keep it right there. Hit hard down to short. Peraza has it though, and that'll do it. The 3 ground ball outs for Lorenzen. Reds clinging to a 1-run lead as we go to the 8th. After this one, hopefully a smiling side of the scoreboard, as Juan Nicasio will come in to face the Reds here in the 8th inning. Scooter Gennett will lead it off, Suarez, and then Peraza. Nicasio, look at the numbers, they'll tell you a simple story. 53rd game of the season. Earned run average of about 2.5. Nicasio been solid of late. And another one of the hard-throwing right-handers out of this bullpen.
This is the first year in his career where he has been used entirely out of the bullpen. He's always been a starter previously, and has worked with the Colorado Rockies. The last time he was not in Pittsburgh was 2015 when he pitched for the Dodgers, and he split time with the Dodgers between, you know, getting a couple of starts and out of the bullpen, but all out of the bullpen here this year.
Has 1 save on the year, and he's become the 8th inning guy. I mean, in this slot, he's made 5 straight scoreless appearances. And his ERA in the 8th, just the 8th inning alone, is around 1. Scooter retired for the first out of the 8th inning. Iglesias loosening in the Reds bullpen. Here's Suarez, struck out, infield hit, and a walk for Eugenio. Well, for the first time in a long time, Chris, when you look at Brian Price and he looks at his bullpen, the last 3 games have given him an opportunity to use the bullpen the way it was designed to be used. You know?
Well, at least the way they designed it this year to be used. Multiple innings out of a couple of different guys down there. One of them being Lorenzen. They think that he can be a multiple inning pitcher. Of course, he's got a quest to be a starter. And the other is you hand it over to your ace down there, which is Raisel Iglesias. Kind of interesting, really. If you look forward and you say, well, if you do it the conventional way and you bring in an 8th inning guy, that 8th inning guy would face the top of the order. Let's say he doesn't get him out in order, he goes through the first 4. And then your ace guy out of the bullpen comes in and basically pitches the 9th against the bottom of the order. And that's what they were trying to protect against here with the multiple inning use of their relievers. I just don't think the team has won consistently enough to find out whether that theory works or not.
And it's only been, I mean, on Sunday when Castillo went into the 8th, it's the first time since June, the last week of May actually, that the Reds had a starter go 8. And then last night, same story for Bailey. Strong performance by Homer. He went 6 innings, so you could use the bullpen the way it was. You weren't using the bullpen in the 4th inning the way it's happened so often. I mean, all bets are off when that happens. Full count, 3-2 to Suarez. He'll play Suarez straight away with the 3-2 count in the infield and the outfield. Hit hard. Down into the corner. Pass freeze. Suarez around second. Around first, heading to second, and he'll stop with a 2-base hit. So Eugenio Suarez gets his 2nd hit. He's 2 for 3. And his 18th double of the season.
Now protect against a fastball. Be ready for the slider. So here comes the slider. And Nicasio on a 3-2 count just kind of lays it right in there on the inner third.
And here's Peraza, 1 for 3, a base hit that stretched his hitting streak to 6 straight. From the stretch, Nicasio with Suarez inching off the bag at second.
Kind of interesting batting gloves that Jose Peraza has right there. When he holds a bat, you see the knuckles that are kind of all lined up right there in that reddish color. I mean, they're meant to maybe show that. A lot of batting coaches, that's the first thing they do when they get a young player aside. They say, all right, well, let's first show you how to hold the bat. And a lot of the theories involve, having the knocking knuckles, the knuckles you would knock on a door with, line up. Peraza's just about right there, a little bit off center, but pretty much close to it. Haven't seen a pair of gloves to show that, though. It's a great teaching tool.
There's the 2-1. That's a little high. Part of it, Chris, I mean, you apply it to golf too. You don't want the bat jammed back into your thumb. You want to keep it in the top part of your fingers.
Yeah, but the only guy I know that I play golf with that wears 2 gloves is the cowboy. And they're nice ones too. I only wear 2 gloves when it's too cold outside, and we should be going somewhere south. I may suggest that to the Jeff Brantley next time we play. Got to get some gloves like Jose Peraza. Get that grip working a little better.
He didn't have the left-handed swing like you. It's a bouncer back to the pitcher. They got the runner caught between second and third, trying to keep it as long as they can, and getting to second base will be Peraza. So good job by Suarez to extend it long enough to get Peraza to second. He got his pocket picked between second and third, but he extended it long enough to get the runner to second.
One of the worst executions of rundown that I've ever seen right here. David Freese just like a fast walk. Like he's walking on a treadmill going after Suarez right there. No wonder you get the runner to second base. Well, that's fundamental breakdown right there. You get a guy hung up like that and the batter's just breaking out of the batter's box. For him to reach second base, yes, it was hustle on the part of Peraza. Breakdown defensively on the part of the Pirates.
Chris, if you look at the replay, if Freese sprints towards Suarez, he might have a double play, because by that point Peraza was only about 15 feet from the bag. He lunged at him, missed him. If he had gotten to him, they might have had Peraza at second as well. So let's see if the Reds can get the run in from second. Peraza there, good speed. Here's Barnhart. Flied out, walked in the fifth to lead off, was left stranded. In the sixth, walked with the bases loaded to force home the Reds' second run. 1-1. He joined us late. Red scored on a single by Winker, single by Votto. He went to third. Duvall sacrifice fly made it 1-0 Cincinnati in the fourth. The Barnhart walk with the bases loaded made it 2-0 off Trevor Williams. Williams exited for the Pirates after 5 1/3, allowing 6 hits in those 2 runs. Robert Stevenson was great, went 5 2/3, allowing 2 hits before he left the game with a runner on second base. In came Lorenzen. Bell singled, Josh Bell, to make it 2-1. Freese singled to tie the game at 2. And then Jesse Winker's home run in the top of the 7th has given the Reds a 3-2 lead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. DeCasio to the stretch. Peraza off second. Barnhart hanging in on the 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Ocasio can get it up there in the high 90s. He averages over 95 miles an hour with that fastball. Big body guy, 6 feet 4 inches tall, over 250.
Isn't everybody these days?
The little guys are anyway.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Tell you, the Reds have had a few at bats tonight where they've really made the Pirates pitchers work. Duvall had a long at bat an inning or so ago. But this has been a good at bat here for Barnhart.
That's slapped away the other way and out of play. Last 2 nights the Reds have spoiled some pretty good pitches by Pirate pitching and found something to drive. Stewart sets up on the outside corner. That just misses down low. Reds with leads the last 2 nights have kept this Pirate crowd quiet. Crowd of a little over 22,000 again tonight, about the same as last night. Full count again. Here's Barnhart. He'll ask for time. Great speed at second for the Reds, and with the outfield straight away and a step deep, a base hit should score Peraza from second. And on the hand, spoiled by Barnhart. It's ball 4. So Barnhart has worked his 3rd walk of the ball game. Great at bat by Tucker. And that'll bring the pinch hitter Patrick Kivelhan out of the Reds dugout. He'll pinch hit for Lorenzen.
Now this is a pitch that Benoit thought was, Nicasio thought was a strike. Stewart, the catcher, thought it was a strike. And I'm wondering if maybe Barnhart didn't think it was a strike too. Look at Stewart kind of up and down and can't believe it.
The 1st and 2nd, and here comes Ray Searage. He's got his eyes peering towards Bill Miller at home as he slowly walks out to the mound. I think he's going to wait for Miller to finally come out and break up this discussion before it's all over. But Kivelhan will pinch hit. And for Patrick, he is the Reds' most frequently used pinch hitter. This will be his 36th pinch hit at bat. He's got 6 hits on the year.
He might be just checking up on Nicasio. Making sure he's okay here. Maybe giving him a little bit of a breather because it was a long at bat with Barnhart, giving him a little extra encouragement right there. And delivering a scouting report about Patrick Kivelhan.
Now Miller never made his way out there, so Ray Searage slow walk back to the dugout, and here's Patrick.
Going to have to text him.
Reds trying to extend a 3-2 lead. Kivelhan pinch hitting here in the top of inning number 8. In the dirt, good snapping catch by the catcher Stewart. This is not an easy end of the bullpen to catch for Stewart or Cervelli. A lot of movement, a lot of velocity, and a pitching staff taught to stay down by Searage. Here's the 1-0. That's a strike. '97 in on the hands, fouled off 1 and 2.
Yeah, that is a perfect pitch to set up a little slider down and away right here. As soon as you make Kivelhan aware of something going that fast on the inner part of the plate, he's thinking, all right, I was a little bit late there. I get on top of that pitch. But he may know full well also that Nicasio's got a nice little slider.
Down and away, that's where Stewart sets up. Slapped off the shoulder of Bell, but he'll get the ball to Nicasio. Took a tricky hop to Josh Bell. That saved a run. The Reds clinging to a 1-run lead, heading to the bottom of 8 in Pittsburgh. The Flo Rida this Friday at Great American Ballpark. See Flo Rida perform chart-topping hits including My House, Low, Cake, and more. Don't miss Flo Rida live at the ballpark. For tickets, visit reds.com/concerts. Here we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and the bullpen parade continues for the Reds. Robert Stevenson started 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Michael Lorenzen came in to try to get the final out of the 6th, but gave up 2 hits and the 2 runs scored that tied the game. He had a 1-2-3 7th, and here's Raisel Iglesias, Chris, who will take over to try to bring it home in the 8th and 9th.
Well, he certainly is capable. Look at the strikeouts to walks for Iglesias, 61 to 18. All of that done in 50 innings pitched.
There's Marte, fly to center, line to second. Reached on a bunt hit in the 6th inning that started the rally that produced the 2 runs for the Pirates. In tied at third is the third baseman Suarez, and as he dropped back, Marte dropped the bat down, and now he'll move back again with 2 strikes, 0-2.
I just don't think he saw the ball coming out of Iglesias' hand. Actually took a wild swing on a first pitch breaking ball and was just completely blanked out on that fastball.
Fouls it off. Count stays 0-2.
I mean, you can imagine how difficult it must be as a right-handed hitter to hang in there on Raisel Iglesias. Going from a variety of arm slots, but when he drops way down there, I mean, he comes really low, but he doesn't really lose any velocity. That's the amazing thing about him.
Hit hard down to short, tricky hop, but Peraza has it, and they get the out. Nice job by Peraza on a hard hit ball that took a tricky hop in front of him. Last time we saw Lorenzen, of course, was Sunday in the 9th inning at Miami. He allowed a 3-run home run to Marcell Ozuna, and for him that ended a scoreless streak of 7 appearances and 8 innings pitched. One of the more difficult ways to value a player, Chris, is when you have a team that doesn't win a lot and you got a closer who's very valuable. You don't get him in that often.
Exactly. That was kind of the point I was making earlier about the grand plan at the beginning of the year is to use pitchers for multiple innings and close with different guys. There wouldn't have been a #1 closer, but it never really got to that point. The Reds didn't put enough wins on the board. One thing they found out, though, that Iglesias was the cream of the crop out of that bullpen.
1 ball, 1 strike. Miss it on the outside corner. And if you asked Iglesias, he'd like to pitch more often than less often. 2-1 to Frazier, 0 for 3 tonight. A hard hit ball to right that Winker made a diving catch of.
You know, it would have to be okayed by the pitcher. In fact, he'd have to want to do it. But Iglesias, to me, is a top of the rotation kind of a pitcher if you're a starter. Now, he has to be committed to it. You have to be convinced that his arm could handle it.
Popped up, giving Chase's Barnhart. It'll be in the seats.
Kind of the way the Reds were going to do the same thing with the Aroldis Chapman, until they had a need in the bullpen that seemed greater than having Chapman break in as a starter, have his innings watched, and all that kind of trimmings that go along with it.
And there comes a point in time where you go past the point of no return. If you move a guy from the rotation to the starter's role, to the bullpen role, after maybe a year or 2 at the most, you can move him back. But after 3 or 4 years, very difficult.
I think that you can do it at any point as long as he's committed to what it takes to be a starter. Problem is, I think you're right, is that guys get into their mold and they get into their routine as a reliever, and they can't see themselves getting out of it to be a starter. That's where the obstacle would be.
Well, Frazier takes a walk, 1 out, 1 on, and here comes McCutchen. McCutchen in his career 4 for 10 and a home run against against Iglesias. Tonight, McCutchen reached on an infield hit, struck out, and flied to left. He was the last batter that Robert Stevenson faced. Hit a fly ball high in the air to left field. Iglesias with Frazier down at first from the stretch. Missing down and away. Ball one.
Now, always a classic matchup when you have your best pitcher against their best hitter.
Slap to the right side, out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. In addition to be a 2-inning save, this is not an easy save for Iglesias as he faces the top of the order this inning. Pretty good bats behind him. Bell in the number 4 spot, Freeze behind him. Rysell to the stretch. Frazier stole an 8 this year, so you can't completely forget about him. He represents the tying run. Not going, pitch wide. 2-1.
Yeah, but do you want to be Adam Frazier being thrown out at second base with Andrew McCutchen at the plate? I mean, what he's working on, I think Frazier's getting a good secondary lead so that if McCutchen can hit a ball in the gap, he'll be able to score from first base. I don't think he's trying to get a stolen base type lead.
2-1. On the low part of the strike zone for a strike. 2-2.
I'm hearing the low strike murmur in this crowd tonight.
That's the Bill Miller way of umpiring, huh? Frazier inches off the bag down at first. Iglesias delivers, runner not going, bounce wide. It'll get under the glove of Peraza, and there'll be 2 on with 1 out. Second hit of the night for McCutchen.
Now, the Reds have had their share of these type of hits, just beyond the glove of the infielder, infield hits, and so on. And the Pirates pick one up right here in a very crucial situation.
And that'll bring up Bell. Bell bounced back to the pitcher, line to right, and then singled in the first run for the Pirates in the 6th. He was the first batter to face Lorenzen. He hit a rocket into center field. So the young switch hitter, who now has 91 hits to lead all rookies in the National League, steps in from the left side of the plate. That's down low.
You know, the splits on Rysell Iglesias are pretty dramatic. Now, they're not bad either way. Against left-handers, he gives up a batting average of 250. Against right-handers, it is a microscopic 113, like he's pitching against a bunch of pitchers. So he does have more problems with lefties up there.
Good speed on the bases for the Pirates. This one sliced into left. Will Duvall get there? A long run. He will. And the runners will have to hold. Peraza never made an effort towards it. So it was all in Duvall's pocket. He had to come a long way. He was playing deep. And he did to get out number 2. So it'll be up to Freeze. Freeze off Lorenzen, single to right after fouling off 4 pitches. That tied the game at 2. Chased home Bell, who had gone to second on a throw to home. So Iglesias will face the veteran David Freeze. 1 for 2 and a walk. Nice breaking ball for a strike. Many closers will come in with basically one pitch that they'll rely on. This guy, Chris, all of his pitches are quality pitches. That's why you think he can be a starter.
Yeah.
Freeze against Iglesias, 0 for 4 in their previous matchups. Nice block by Barnhart, down and away.
He thought it was breaking ball and he got fastball. And now he's coming out to talk to Iglesias about it.
Two-1 from Iglesias. Frazier off second. That's a strike. 2-2. Down in Miami, where the lights are much different than here in Pittsburgh, there are a lot of shadows, especially around home plate. Sal Romano had trouble seeing the signs of Tucker Barnhart. Well, Barnhart went on and
got his nails done.
Got his nails done. And it's.
And why not?
Sure. Pretty easy to see those. That's bounced right back to Iglesias. Good job, and the Reds will get out of trouble. A walk and a hit. Pirates strand 2. They've stranded 6. The Reds still lead at 3-2.
Reds trivia, win great prizes, and you could be a part of Reds Live. All get started at 5:30 this Friday. The Holy Grail at the Banks. Going to be a new starter in the rotation on Friday. Brian Price today said that Tim Adelman will come out of the rotation, and it will be Asher Wojciechowski taking his place. Performance-based. He hasn't seen the improvement out of Adelman, so they'll flip-flop roles. Adelman will be the long man out of the pen, which includes tonight and tomorrow going forward, and Wojciechowski will start on Friday against the Cardinals. Could be short-lived, though, because Scott Feldman seems to be around the corner for making his return. He threw a bullpen here in Pittsburgh, threw just under 60 pitches in a simulated game, faced 4 Reds hitters today, 4 innings of getting up and down, and they'll see how he comes through it tomorrow. They'll formulate a plan to see if he may go out on one rehab start or may not, so we'll see. Feldman right around the corner from returning. Knee seems fine, at least right as we speak. Easy for me to say.
You're right, JD. He does seem upbeat. Feels a lot better than he thought he would feel, and the likelihood is we will see him soon. He's been a good addition to this rotation, both on the field and off the field this year, Chris.
Well, he has. You know, he's been a real, not just a model citizen, but he's been a guy that you can watch pitch. If you're a young pitcher and you say, you know what, I've got a better arm than him. Why is he winning all the games? And I think you can learn a lot from watching Scott Feldman. He's got a very calming influence in that dugout, too.
Here's Felipe Rivero, the closer, coming in the top of 9 with the Reds leading it by 1, and Jose Osuna comes in at first. So Rivera will hit in Bell's spot, the 4th spot, and Osuna will hit in the 9th spot, which would be due up 4th in the bottom of the 9th inning. And here's Billy.
Rivero really came right to the top of the bullpen in a hurry. He was only been here about a year. He was traded over here from the Washington Nationals last year, right at the deadline, for Mark Melanson. And at that time, he was basically a good pitcher. Had been in 49 games with the Washington Nationals the year before. But they weren't going to use him as a closer, although they probably wish they had him back now.
Yeah, how things work, Chris. You know, with the search that they've had all year for somebody who could be a closer, Rivero certainly would fit for Dusty Baker in that club now. But, you know, sometimes you pull the trigger on a deal, sometimes you don't. We just passed the first trading deadline of July 31st, and still there may be some deals prior to the second trading deadline, and you have to have a player on your roster by September 1st. Billy drills this one into left, a base hit. So Hamilton gets his first hit of the night, 1 for 5. Let's see if he'll be off and running. Just like we promised you early in the game, it's a Miller time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. Jesse Winker has a home run today, but early on, a dandy catch. He made a great catch last night going to right center. This Miller Lite moment, a great catch in the first inning. And then what did he do to top it off? Hit one to the back row of the right field seats, almost out of the park. In fact, if the guy in the top row doesn't hit it with his hand, it's out of PNC Park. So 2 homers in the last 2 nights, 2 outstanding catches for Jesse Winker. Rivero, quick move as a reliever from the mound, this left-hander, so Billy's trying to get a long look at it. Now, Chris, you talk about the deals that are made, and the Yankees made a lot of deals, and all very productive ones, it looks like. But remember back a few years ago when they wanted David Price as a starter from Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay wanted Severino and Judge. Brian Cashman didn't make that deal. You look a few years later. Sometimes the deals work. Sometimes you hold them. Sometimes you fold them.
Well, the biggest thing I think, George, is to understand the value of your players without overvaluing them. You know, the better look you have and the better feel you have for your own guys, the better deals you're going to be able to make. Of course, sometimes you just don't know. I mean, guys who look like they're going to have a pedestrian career end up being superstars, a couple of years after they get traded, and that's the general manager's worst nightmare.
No balls, 2 strikes. Billy off first. Winker at the plate. Nasty breaking ball, huh?
Well, nasty combination of everything he's got. Plus fastball, plus breaking ball. Nice quick short arm action. Ball gets on top of you in a hurry.
In the corner. Winker strikes out. Jesse tonight, 2 hits, 2 for 5, a single in that home run you saw.
99 on the black.
One out, one on, and here's Joey. Votto tonight, single and a double, 2 for 4. That breaking ball buckles Joey for a strike. Votto in his career 0 for 3 against Rivero. Now you're talking about batting gloves and how hands come together. With Joey, you could tell the respect he has for a pitcher by the choke-up. He'll be down at the end of the bat with some. But when you get Rivera, who's at his best and a tough lefty, he's up about 2 inches. The higher the choke, the more respect. There goes Billy, and Votto sends it down the left field line, but out of play. Hamilton, of course, always has the green light. The only thing you would give him is the hold, and that's very seldom from Brian Price and Billy Hatcher down at third.
You know, I'd be inclined to pick a pitch and go if you're Billy Hamilton. Rivero just doesn't seem like the kind of pitcher that gives up multiple hits in an inning.
Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. 2 away, still a runner on first. And don't forget, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game on Fox Sports Ohio with Reds Live pregame presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jeff Picoro, Brian Giesenslaw will keep you up to date on everything tomorrow. And tomorrow it'll be Sal Romano going against Chad Kuhl. Final of the series. And the Reds will head home to take on the Cardinals Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you missed it earlier, Asher Wojciechowski will be the starter on Friday against former Red Mike Leake. And we hope you join us at the ballpark for the homestand. Padres will follow the Cardinals in.
Well, the weather ought to be just fantastic this weekend for baseball.
99, a swing and a miss, 1 ball, 1 strike. Duvall, sacrifice fly, knocked in a run. 0 for 3. He's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight.
Adam Duvall do a little choke up action right here.
1-1. He's been an Iglesias kind of closer. 5 of his 9 saves this year have been for more than 1 inning. Not normal in this day and age. And of late he's been at his best. 11 straight scoreless appearances covering over 12 innings. Ball and a strike to the Reds left fielder. A little bit bigger lead for Billy. Not going. Hamilton sitting on 44 stolen bases, and in his career he's got 46 against the Pirates. That's the most he has against any team.
After missing that badly with a breaking ball, Duvall's got to be looking heater right here.
Runner not going. Hit pretty good to left. Going back. Marte at the wall looking up. He won't get this one. That's gone. Adam Duvall, round tripper in the 9th. A 1-run lead becomes a 3-run lead, and the Reds have added on here in the 9th inning. Home run number 24 for the Reds left fielder.
That'd be the first question I ask Adam Duvall after the ball game. After Rivero missed badly with that breaking ball, you had to be sitting heater, and boy was he ever. Got the bat head going, a little bit of choke up. Rivero provided the elevation. Duvall provides the bat head. Bye-bye baseball.
Well, last night, almost in the exact same spot, Marte robbed Winker of a home run, but Marte's not going to get this one. And Iglesias has a little bit of pad going to bottom of 9.
Well, that is sending the folks to the exits right now. Either they're giving up on their buckos or they're giving out bags of 20s in the parking lot.
Free Primanti sandwiches as you walk out.
Wonder what exit that guy's standing at with the big bag.
Swing and a miss. Scooter's retired, but not before Adam Duvall plays home run in the ninth. Single by Hamilton. Homer by Duvall. Reds lead at 5-2. Has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store wide. Great food, low prices, all at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Well, the Reds have gone places with a long ball on this night. If you joined us late, Cincinnati scores in the fourth. Single by Winker. Votto singles him to third. Duvall's sacrifice fly makes it 1-0. Barnhart walks with the bases loaded in the sixth to make it 2-0. A home run by Winker makes it 3-2 after the Pirates came back to tie it. And then Adam Duvall gets his second and third runs batted into the ninth with his 24th homer. 5-2 Cincinnati. And here's Iglesias, who pitched the eighth, trying to wrap it up in inning number 9, Chris.
Well, he is, and he's got a little breathing room, as you mentioned, and described that home run by Adam Duvall to give the Reds a 3-run lead. Come right after him, keep it down. You know, the fewer pitches that Iglesias can get away with here in this inning, you know, the sooner he can get back into action.
Polanco off the disabled list for the first time since pulling a hamstring tonight. 0 for 2. Walked on 4 straight wide ones from Stevenson in the fifth. Flied out and bounced out. That's right on the inside corner for a strike. First strikeout for Iglesias, who walked the batter in the eighth. Bill Miller's sent the word out, swing the bats tonight.
You know, he may have been getting some disgusted looks, but nobody's jawing with him. Maybe from the dugout they are, but not that the batters aren't, you know, getting their piece in as they walk back. Maybe he made that clear too.
Here's Mercer, struck out, and bounced out. Popped up right side, Votto over, curving towards the seats. It'll be out of play.
Oh, right there in Jim Day territory.
JD dropped his sandwich. Tomas Vera's done the job. That's Votto's regular glove. He's repaired it, and Joey's got it back on the left hand again. Bernie Stowe's up there smiling after that work.
Yeah.
Another strike. 1 and 2. You still remember Bernie sitting there with that curved needle he had.
Yep.
Amazing. Missing 2-2. Still with us. Always a reminder.
I mean, Bernie could do a whole glove, not just the
Yep.
webbing or one finger. I mean, if it was falling apart for the special players, he'd take the whole thing apart and totally reweave it.
The Bernie Stows and the Joe Nuxalls never leave you, do they?
No, they never do.
Full count 3-2 to Mercer with 1 out here in the 9th. Hit hard. Suarez has it. By the way, here's John Jaso to pinch hit. While we remember great people, we learned tonight that Ara Parsegian passed away today at the age of 94. Native of Ohio, grew up in Akron, from the cradle of coaches, Miami of Ohio. Coached there, Northwestern, and of course a great coach at Notre Dame. 25 years as a quality person and a great college coach. And more importantly, what he did raising money for MS research and for the genetic disease that touched his family and his 3 grandchildren. What a special guy in Ara Parsegian. Great coach, but even more importantly, a special man.
Well said, George.
There's Jaso pinch hitting with 2 outs here in the 9th. Well, he toiled under Woody Hayes, under Sid Gilman, under Paul Brown. He learned from the best, and he taught so many great young coaches too. John Pont, Carm Koza. That's why 2-1. That's a great example of somebody. You need somebody to be a Notre Dame coach. You need somebody special, you know, not just somebody that can coach, but somebody who's a notch above.
Especially back in those days, especially.
Yeah. 3-1. Iglesias unhappy with himself, trying to nail this one down. And he'll walk his second since coming on. So a 2-out walk, and that'll bring up Osuna hitting in the 9th spot of the order. So here comes Osuna. Votto will play behind a runner down at first. He'll take second. No stolen base. Defensive indifference. Jaso and Osuna are the 2 most used pinch hitters for the Pirates this year. Osuna started some games. He started Sunday in San Diego, but more often than not, he's come off the bench. And here he came in as a first base replacement. That's a strike. 1-1. Didn't have to say anything. Just he looked at his manager and shook his head. Breaking ball down and away. Called a strike. 1-1. Barnhart flashes his signs. Jaso off second. Missing 2-1. Tomorrow, Sal Romano goes against Chad Kuhl. Reds live 6:30. The game will follow at 7. Hope you join us. And don't forget, coming up after this one, it'll be Brian Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro bringing the Reds live post game to you. Votto scoops. He'll take it himself, and smiling scoreboard for the Reds. Iglesias will get the baseball as he wraps this one up. 3rd straight good start for the Reds.